Welcome to English Moody's class. Today we are starting a new chapter. Definitely I have explained the poem Stopping by Woods written by Robert Frost, the famous American poet. Today we are starting the literary figures, literary terms used in this poem. That is very important. Why this poem is beautiful? What are the other aspects of this poem? Always students have questions in their mind. So after I explain all these terms, it will be very much clear. What is literary term? What do we mean by literary term? So this is the term which makes the poem more interesting. Okay, and one example I am giving. Simile. Lot of students confused. Sir, it is smile or simile? No, it's not smile. So it's a technical word. It is known as simile. Similarly, another word is there, metaphor. Assonance. Okay, so all these words have been used here to make the poem a composite brilliant, composite whole, and it presents before the students as a brilliant poem. And I have already told you. So let us see what are the comparisons, what are the literary figures of speech used in this poem. First, metaphor. But for your information, what is a metaphor? You may ask me. Metaphor is a far-fetched comparison. Simile, there is no simile in this poem. What is a simile? Simile is a comparison where we are using as, like, etc. Example, her face is like a moon. Suppose you love somebody and you compare your beloved's face with a moon. Then what is the sentence? Her face is like a moon. So somebody's face is compared with a moon and we are using as and like. So definitely it's a simile. But with the comparison, with the absence of as or like, that is called metaphor. Now, I have written something on the board. Please have a look. Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening, written by Robert Frost. And here, literary devices, figures of speech used in the poem. I have already told you what is literary devices. Literary devices are the technical words in literature which explain something, which present the poet's point of view in a better manner. So these are the literary. So first one is metaphor. All of you look at it. The poem doesn't have any metaphors. However, there are two extended metaphors. You may ask me, sir, what is extended metaphor? It is not real metaphor, but looks like a metaphor, looks like metaphor. And here there are two extended metaphors used. Look, however, there are two extended metaphors in the poem. The last line of the third stanza, this is the underline. All of you look at it. Sweep up, this is the line I am marking. Sweep up, easy wind and downy flake. This is the extended metaphor used here. And the second metaphor is used in the last line with the repetition and miles to go. This is the line I am underlining. All of you look. And miles to go before I sleep. What is the meaning here? Here miles represent life journey. This is the comparison. Miles refers to life journey and sleep refers to death. So this is the extended metaphor used in the poem. Similarly, there are other terms which are used in the poem, that is personification. What is personification? You may ask me. So the word comes from portion. Who is a portion? Suppose Tendulkar is a portion, Biswajit is a portion, everybody is a portion. So that's why that from that word portion, it is personification. And what is personification? When the poet uses lifeless objects, inanimate objects to magnify them, to give the status of a portion, that is personification. Example, all of you know William Wordsworth, very famous nature poet. He has personified daffodils. Similarly, here there is a horse available in this poem. All of you know Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening. There is a horse available. The feelings of the horse has been personified. The status of human being given to the feelings of the horse. That's why the poet is using personification. Let me explain. Robert Frost has personified the thinking of the horse mildly in the stanza when it stops, and in the third stanza he gives a sign to the rider. He gives his harness bells a shake to ask if there is some mistake. This is the personification. He gives his harness bells a shake. He, all of you know, he always used for human beings, but we are using he for the horse. The poet has personified the feelings of the horse. Why does the horse gives his harness bells a shake? Because he has a confusion. Look at the word he. He gives his harness bells. So here the feelings of the horse has been personified. That's why the poet is using he. So this is the line I am explaining again. He gives his harness bells a shake to ask if there is a mistake. It shows as if the horse is a human being who understands his owner's needs and inquires if they have to stop. Very interesting. So horse is described as an inferior animal, and we compare the feelings of the horse with the human beings. In that sense, it is called personification. I have given the other example of daffodils, where daffodils have been personified. The dancing of the daffodils has been personified. That's why the poet has the capacity to give inanimate, lifeless objects or lower objects to status of human being. That is known as personification. What is the third literary speech used in this poem? Literary figure. That is really imagery. What do you mean by imagery? The original word is image. What is an image? Suppose I ask you, what is an image? I am standing before you taking a class. I can also be referred as an image. Backside, my backside, there is a whiteboard. That is an image. In front of me, there is a camera. That is an image. So when the poet is moving in the forest, so he has attracted by the beauty of the woods. So that is an image. That is an image. So very brilliant lines, interesting lines available. Imagery is used to make readers feel things through their five senses. Very interesting. So how do you feel these images? Example, suppose you see one Bollywood cinema. But nowadays I hate Bollywood, because all of you know Sushant Singh's case has made this term and people are now hating Bollywood. So in Bollywood, what you see, or I am giving another example of exciting cricket match. So cricket match between India and Pakistan. What do you see? Lot of interesting images inside the stadium. What are the images? So the players are on the field. They are running. Run out scene. That is the image. IPL T20 is going on. IPL T20 is going on. What is the image? The blowing of the trumpet. The blowing of the trumpet. Or the dancing of the people. Or the color. Indian flag painted on the cheeks. That is the image. So, image always attracts our five senses. And what are the images used in this poem? Brilliant images, beautiful images are there. What are the images? Look alike. The poet has used the images of the sense of sight such as woods. First image is woods, house, lake and so on. These images help readers see the woods, a source of solace and comfort to a lonely traveler. The poet is the lonely traveler. All of you know who is traveling. Who is traveling on the horse? The poet is traveling on the horse. And he is attracted by the images. What are the beautiful images? The images are woods. Second image, lake. Third image, house. So all these images are really attractive. And these attract poets. So that's why imagery, the role of imagery in the poem is brilliant. Through the words, these images have been created. And the next one is alliteration. What do you mean by alliteration? The repetition of sounds. The repetition of consonant sounds is known as alliteration. In this poem, the poet has used this technical device to attract our senses, to create music, to create lyric. So give the example. This is the alliteration is the repetition of the same consonant sounds in the same line, such as consistent use of what? W and S sounds. The following phrases are examples. I am giving the examples. Alliteration from the poem. Watch his woods. Look at the line. watch his woods. I am writing this line. All of you look at it. Watch his woods. So look at the line sound first. Watch. Which sound? W sound. W sound represents what? W sound. W. So this is again his. This is the sound of H coming. Again W sound coming. Look at the sounds repeated. W sound is repeated. This is the consonant sound repeated to create music. Why? To create music. And in English term, we call it alliteration. Why alliteration is there? Alliteration is there to create music inside the poem, to attract the readers, to create beauty. So the poet is able to create music out of the English words. And this is brilliant. Next sounds sweep. Look at line. Sounds the sweep. Another word is there. I am writing here. Sounds the sweep. All of you look at this. So S sound coming. Again here S sound coming. Again here S sound coming. So here 3 S repeated. So this is another example of alliteration inside the poem, to create music, to create lyrical bent of mind inside the reader's mind. The next one is assonance and consonance. Assonance what? Repetition of vowel sounds. What do you mean by consonance? All of you know. Consonants, all of you know. You have read in high school level. You have read in LKG, UKG. What you have read? How many letters are there in English? 26. According to you. But according to me, vowel sounds differ. All the readers of India or outside the world, they know there are 5 vowels and 21 consonants. But if you read sounds chapter, you are totally wrong. So how many total sounds there? 44. 44 sounds there. Okay, out of that 24 consonants, 20 vowels. That I will teach you in your next class. But today's class, I want to teach you the assonance. What is assonance? Assonance means the repetition of vowel sounds. What is consonance? Consonance means the repetition of consonant sounds. Let me give the example first. Assonance is a repetition of the vowel sounds in the same line, such as the sounds of E and A. E and A. Interesting line. All of you look. Anybody? Look at the line here. And here I have written a letter English E. Can you tell me English E creates which kind of sound? Anybody inside the class? Interesting. English E always creates a sound like A. English E always creates a sound like A. Another one, English I. English I. What sound does it create? It creates the sound of E. Example, inkpot. I-N-K-P-O-T. Inkpot. So inkpot, what is the first sound? Letter is I. Letter is I. What is the sound? E. Another word, eagle. Eagle. So what is the starting letter? Starting letter is E. But definitely the E sound always coming as A. So this is the assonance. All of look the sounds. E and I come in quick succession. He will not see me stopping. He will not see me stopping. Just I am writing. You just look at it. He will not see me stopping. And how the assonance means vowel sounds are repeated. Let me write this line. Then it can be clear to you. All of you look at it. So the line is, here the poem line is, he will not see me stopping. See me stopping. Look at the sounds. He, here I sound coming. Will not see, I sound coming. Me, I sound coming. So repetition of E sound. Repetition of E sound. So that is known as assonance. That is known as assonance. He will not see me stopping. He gives his harness bells a shake. Another line I am writing. Look at the line. He gives his harness bells a shake. So here he gives, I sound, his, I sound. Harness, bells, here it is A sound, here it is A sound, here shake, you know, A sound. So here I and A sound repeated, I and A comes under vowel. So that is called assonance. That is called assonance. So the opposite word is consonance. When we repeat the consonant sounds, that is known as consonance. Let me give the example. Consonance is the repetition of consonant sounds such as W and TH. TH means th sound. TH means th sound. So let me give the example from the poem. It will be very interesting. So next class I am going to teach you more sounds. Okay. So that will be very much clear to you. And look a line. So what is consonance? So in the poem W